Hello, I'm Jim Riley, and welcome to All the Right Connections. My guest for this segment of the program, James Reynolds, President of Cablevision, Dave Fingar, Chief something.
Engineer.
Chief Engineer. I keep making up his title. I don't know why. I have a little trouble. Dave and I are old friends, but the titles escape. Chief Engineer. Thanks for joining us, Dave. We appreciate it.
Very important
James,
to have one.
If you don't have a title, we were just saying before we went on.
I'm saying it's important to have a chief engineer.
Well, for you, but for Dave, it's good to have a title. Because if you're not, you might be irrelevant. So I think a title is good. James, first thing we want to talk about, and I always like this as somebody who's a subscriber to Medicine Cable, you have new channels. Tell us about the channels.
We do. We're always looking to try to add unique or valuable programming that isn't already covered by one of the networks that's out there. But we've come up with a few new channels that we think will be very well received. The first is Hallmark Movie Channel, and this is plain and simple family-friendly movies.
Yeah, so it's family fare.
And it's very difficult to find a family-friendly movie.
But now we have it.
These days.
Now we have it.
And so we think a lot of subscribers will really appreciate this. Hallmark, of course, has a long reputation of
Right.
quality family programming.
True. Yeah.
So that's one of them. And then the next one is the Military Channel. And basically the Military Channel covers the history of the military, all of the great battles and behind the scenes, the life of a soldier and a lot of the history of that.
Right.
And we think that there's a lot of interest in that, given the history we're living through right now.
With veterans like myself, I'm looking forward to seeing the reports on the United States Air Force.
And we might even be able to see you on the Military Channel.
Let's hope that there's something in there on my term of service. But I think you're right. I think that can be terribly interesting. I look forward to seeing that one.
Okay, and the last one is Crime and Investigation Channel, and this is more or less the in-depth look of police investigations into crime, the special crime labs and all the scientific resources that they bring to solving crimes. And there's so many shows on TV right now that have CSI this and
Right.
CSI that
Which is crime scene investigation.
and it shows how they
that-
systematically go about it, but this is
Right.
really
This is
sort
a
of
real thing.
Yes.
This is a real thing. So the three movie channels again. Let's do them again.
So it's the Hallmark Movie Channel,
Right.
the Military Channel,
Right.
and the Crime and Investigation Channel.
Now, when is this going to happen?
These should be starting before Christmas.
Good.
We want to get them on before Christmas. I mean, one of our biggest challenges, Jim, is the fact that the programming, there's such diverse and special programming offered for cable television, but the cost of that programming is going higher every year. And what we try to do every year is to balance the programming choices that we offer so that not everybody likes action movies. And so Hallmark Movie Channel is an alternative for the person that wants to see something that's more family friendly. So we like diversity, and we also like to keep an eye on the cost of programming, because in some cases we get double-digit increases in the cost of the programming every year. And so it's a really challenging environment. Wherever we can, we like to give some additional services, and that's what we're doing this year.
Right, and value to the customer.
Exactly.
I think that's terribly important. But I do need to remind people that you don't just take this programming and make it available and the programming is free. There's a cost related to that for the company before you send it back to the subscriber.
Absolutely, and yet we're trying to do our best to try to balance those business realities.
Right, and it is a reality of business. You have to deal with it. Now, before we move to other topics, we have another programming edition that's coming on. We're going to talk to Lance Wheeler later, but it's called Neighbors, and that's a local program, correct?
Yes, and I think it's correct to say that we have offered local programming pretty much for the entire time that we've been in business in Columbia, Greene, and southern Albany counties. Local origination programming was one of the real positive initiatives that cable TV companies started with when they first were in operation. And it gave the local community the ability to sort of showcase some things that would otherwise never get on TV. We've been fortunate to have some expertise to do productions. I mean, we produced this show, Connections,
Right.
and
Correct.
and
We
Lance.
did, what did we do? We did Columbia County Spotlight for a while, Greene County Review. Now, you also won awards for these, did you not?
Mid-Hudson Cable has been awarded several times the Gilbert Award, which is really the highest award for cable by the Cable Television Association, recognizing community service. And that's, these local shows are really a focus on community service. Lance has this new program, Neighbors, which is a great new program, local program. But he used to also have Inside the Hudson City
right,
School
that ran
District,
for a
which was
long time.
very
Yeah.
popular because it had students in their activities, and of course parents and students love to see the
Of
kids on
course,
TV.
of course, yeah.
So that was very positive, and we like to try to continue that and expand that because it's unique to the communities we serve.
It's wonderful. Now, we got to talk to Dave for a while because we don't want just to sit here and not have something to deal with. So we're going to switch over. We're going to get a little technical now, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
All right. We're talking about digital conversion. You want to give us a little introduction of what we're talking about, Dave?
Sure, Jim. Well, I guess one of the battles that we have on a cable system is bandwidth. How many channels, how many bits
Can you carry and make
can we
available?
carry?
Yeah.
And for many, many years, analog television has been the forefront and is very bandwidth intensive. It takes a lot of bandwidth for an analog
Right.
television channel. So a number of years ago, the networks and as well as Mid-Hudson began the migration of some channels to digital. We can put 10 digital channels in the space of one analog
Right.
channel, so it's much more efficient. And we're about to move that a step forward, another step forward. Beginning next year sometime, we're going to start taking some analog channels and moving them to digital. You will have to have a digital converter or device
If you don't have a
view it.
digital TV.
Right.
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 Because a lot of people, they last forever, so you don't throw out color TVs anymore. You
don't.
keep them, right?
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't. So in what we have right now is our digital converter. Most of them anyway have a DVR in them and many
Digital
features.
video recorder.
Right.
Okay.
Digital video recorder. And there are some customers who don't have one yet. And we need a way to get these customers that don't have the larger digital converter moved to digital.
Right.
And that's what that is in that box there.
Yeah.
That will be the new digital converter.
Okay. We'll hold this up so they can see
tiny.
this.
It is.
And that's just because electronics get better.
It is.
So you don't have to have a giant piece of equipment
It's
in there.
simply converting the analog signal to a digital one so that the TV can show the picture.
Right.
Right. So this begins next year with a handful of channels. We'll probably start with 2 or 3 and
Yeah.
end up with 6 or 8 channels that'll move. Inevitably, all channels will move.
Right.
But we're going to start small and start moving, and customers who want to view these channels that we have moved will have to give us a call. We're going to contract with a company that's actually going to ship the box in that box
Right.
directly to them.
Okay.
Directions.
Yeah.
All the
Everything, and as you said, James, it's important for people not to have to be technicians to do it. And you said this is really very simple.
It is very simple, and we're hoping that with the instructions here and all of the cables and the remote control included, that somebody just takes the input cable from their TV that's existing, puts it in here, and then takes a jumper and plugs it back into the TV, and you're done.
And then you're all
Right.
set.
So we want to hope that that will speed things up so that people don't have to wait for an installer, and it's less expensive if they can do it themselves.
Nice if they can do it themselves. How soon is this going to start, Dave?
Early next year.
Okay.
Early next year. And then it's our hopes to take that bandwidth that we gain by
Right.
doing that and directing it towards the internet.
Right.
Because the internet is growing and growing and growing.
It's amazing. You said this some time back, that whole platform with now content along with the services that are available, that's getting bigger all the time.
The challenge, and I don't think that it's well understood, it's not as though you run fiber optic cables here and there and then you're all set forever.
Right.
It's really based on the electronics on both ends of the fiber, and it also depends on the utilization. And as we all consume more bandwidth, I mean, every home, it seems, is going to become a wireless environment, and we're all going to have, tablets and
Pads
smartphones
yeah.
and all sorts of devices that use bandwidth. And so we've got to constantly keep adding more capacity and keeping it so that customers will have a good experience. And it's a challenge because in some areas, you get aggregation, you get more users than you have capacity, and so
Right.
you have to break that area up.
Mm-hmm. So this actually is win-win. It's good for the subscriber, and it also helps you provide more services.
Gives us more bandwidth, gives the subscriber more channels.
Right. Yeah, everybody wins. I like them. That's the best kind. Win-win is always the best way to go. Now, we have an interesting item here. You want to tell us about this?
Well, speaking of bandwidth consumption, we have a new service that is called Mid-Hudson Smart Home. And what we're trying to convey with that is that, many people have concerns in trying to just sort of manage their home and their property. And businesses have the same sort of challenge. These devices that we're getting ready to introduce, cameras, are wireless. It doesn't require any expensive installation. In fact, we're looking at having a kit like this where the camera will come
Right.
and basically you have this controller which you plug into your cable modem. It's like a wireless access point.
Right.
And that will communicate with this camera. So then you can take this camera, and if you want to aim it out the window at your driveway when you go away, and you want to say, tell me if there's any motion in my driveway when I'm
Right.
gone. You can program it to send you an email to your smartphone, and it'll say, there's been some motion. And then you look on your smartphone, and you can see a short video clip
Right.
of that,
And whether
whatever
it's
it
a
was.
delivery you're waiting for or anything like that
Right.
that you
Exactly.
want to be
If
checking on.
people want to know that their children got home safely from school, you aim it at the front door.
Right.
And there's just a wide range of applications.
uses that you-
I mean, from things as simple as, is my dog okay?
Right.
Is the
Which is terribly important.
Is the
Even though it's a simple
babysitter
issue, yeah,
is the
it's-
babysitter taking care of the kids properly? But it gives customers that don't have any kind of monitoring capabilities right now the ability to do this at a pretty reasonable rate.
Simple and reasonable.
And with this being wireless, all you need is an outlet to plug it in, and you can put it anywhere.
Right.
So we're very excited about that. It really is all about the broadband network that is going into most homes. We want to enhance that experience and put new services on that. And I think that these monitoring devices will be very well received. The next step, of course, is that you go away, you want to arm your alarm system.
Right.
You want to turn your lights on or off. You want to turn your thermostat up or down, and we're going to have the capacity to do those functions also.
Manage the home.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
smart home. That's
Yeah.
what we call it.
Yeah. and it really is very effective. You're nodding. You want to add anything to this?
Maybe just that's the, I think, the more basic camera.
Yes.
There are others that can mount outdoors.
Right.
There is one that will pan, tilt, and zoom.
Right.
And you can run all of them, multiple cameras, all off the same interface.
The thing that amazes me is the quality of the picture. I mean, you're not going to have just some grainy thing. You'll have a very, very sharp digital image that's very effective.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, good. James, before we wrap things up, any last thoughts?
Well, this special time of year, the holidays, and we'd like to take this opportunity to wish all of our customers, joyous holidays, Merry Christmas, and express our appreciation for their patronage, and really give our commitment for the 2013 that we will keep at our work, trying to deliver the most advanced telecommunication services that we can. But we do want to, it's a special time of year, and everybody needs to take a step backward and reach out and help somebody that needs help. I mean, we want to do whatever we can for the communities that we serve. So.
Well, and again, you've done that with your Can Hunger campaign. I know you've done some very, very successful ventures like that. I think it's important for the company to do that.
Right.
Yeah. Congratulations, James. Nice to see you as always. Dave Fingar, old friend and chief engineer.
Merry Christmas
to you. Happy holidays to all. We'll be back after a few messages.
At times like these, a small business has to work smart to make it. Mid-Hudson Cable can help. We've got the right connections for your business needs. With the fastest business internet speeds available today, the reliability of 24-hour network monitoring, and superior tech support, and our commitment to grow when you do, with scalability that's both fast and flexible on our own fiber optic network. Make the smart choice. Call or visit mhcable.com today.
Welcome back. My guest for this segment of the program, Lance Wheeler, an old friend of mine. Lance, how are you?
Nice to be here, James.
Well, we got an exciting thing we're going to share with people today, but let's catch up with you. Let's tell people who you are now. Hudson City School teacher for many years. I don't want to say it,
Many, many years.
Many years.
We produced a show called Inside the Hudson City School District.
Right. We used to watch that quite often. Very nice.
Which was somewhat of an innovative program for its time. It had been on for a long time from the 80s right up until probably 2000.
Yeah, and that's the longest
running show
in the state.
Yeah.
Something you can be proud of, and
yeah.
you should be proud of. Plus, our producer today, Ryan Oswald, you taught him everything he knew when he was the Hudson Blue Hawk, right?
That's right.
All right. What we're going to talk about today is Neighbors, and tell people what Neighbors is.
I work for CBS. I work for a number of different TV stations, and I go out in both Columbia, Greene, and Albany counties, and I cover the news. Some good, some bad. So let's suppose it's the good news. Only 30 seconds, 45 seconds really get on the air. So I have this library of stories that I've done, and I've been thinking one day. I mean, I still own the material. It's general interest material that people would enjoy seeing in long form.
Yeah.
So consequently, Neighbors.
I think it's a very good idea because, as you know, people that really are interested in their own hometown, their own community, this is the way to share that with them.
There's really a lot going on in both Columbia, Greene, as well as Albany counties. I did a lot of coverage of the flood in Prattsville. We went back, covered some recovery, but then I can't remember the date, but we went up and covered the one-year anniversary of an event they called Mudfest, where they just had a good time and they celebrated, we're still here. Other stories that we've done would include the Flag Day parade that was in June.
Big event.
Yeah.
Big event every year.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And a lot of people were involved in the planning. A lot of people were involved in actually marching and taking place. That'll be running in the month of December. Shows like that, positive shows that show how our neighbors, what our neighbors do.
Well, we got to give a little plug to Mid-Hudson Cable, too, because Steve Mortifolio on staff here at Mid-Hudson Cable. He was one of the driving forces behind Flag Day, and they've done a great job over the years.
Another former student.
Yeah. Well, you see, you trained them all. You trained them all well, Liz. I think it's terribly important for people to know our community is significant. It's significant to us. It's something that's terribly important, and Neighbors is going to have a real nice effect in reminding people what a great place we live in.
I received a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, a lot of Facebook messages saying they really enjoyed it. It's only on Mid-Hudson Cablevision. It's the only place you can see it. So it's very exclusive to Mid-Hudson Cablevision.
We like that part. That's important to us, as you know.
Absolutely.
Now, tell us what the schedule is going to be. Do you know that yet?
I kind of go month to month. What I'm considering doing is going back into the library and going back to maybe even the 80s and show there were some terrible floods, some of that, as well as some pieces that I did for the Hudson City School District.
Right.
But it's all three counties are involved.
I like that. That's a good idea. Let me look at my notes, see if I missed anything here. I think that's kind of interesting. How about future shows? What are some of the other things you think you might see in there?
We'll probably go skiing at some point.
Can't leave that out.
Can't leave the skiing out. I may be doing a piece on a guy who's a window washer.
Huh.
That's what he does all day long.
That's-
Washes windows.
Well, it sounds kind of odd, but look, sometimes people really have a specialty, a thing that they do, and we share that. If you look at the river, I'm sure you have some stuff on that.
I do.
The communities, but as you said, the mountaintop, terribly with the flood, of course, but also that skiing industry is something that's terribly important to all of us here.
It is. It's a very, as you know, a very diverse community. You have mountains, you have valleys, you have rivers, you have lakes, you have historic pieces.
A lot of historic pieces throughout.
So there's
both
really a
counties.
lot to work with.
Yeah, I think that's great. How about this? They can contact you for some suggestions.
Go to lancewheeler.com or lancewheelervideo.com. Send me an email right from there, and we'll take a look at some suggestions people have.
You know, I'm very happy that there's a lancewheeler.com. My whole life, I never had a .com. I'm kind of thrilled that you're there with .com. I think that's a great idea. When is Neighbors going to start? Do we have a start date?
The Neighbors, this will be the third month, the month of December, and we could tell you the times, but I don't remember the times. There's 4 times a week it's on,
Okay.
and it's on the Mid-Hudson website.
You know what we'll do during the show? We'll have Ryan Oswald, your old pal, put those times up so we can remind people to check it out.
Okay.
I think it's something that's going to be very, very good, not only for the cable company, because we like to do local things for local
Sure.
folks, but I think people are going to be thrilled to have that show on there. So we look forward to seeing Neighbors.
Thank you.
Lance, thanks for
Hope you
joining
do.
us today. We
Be good.
appreciate that. We'll be right back after a few words. Welcome back. My guest for this segment of the program, Brad Poster, United Way, Columbia, Greene County. Brad, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Jim.
Appreciate it. Your title is Executive Director.
That's correct.
I have a big history with United Way, Columbia,
Yes,
Greene
you served on the board
counties.
for a while.
Well, you did a very nice thing a while back and put a scholarship in my name at the college, and that's the kind of thing that's always appreciated and remembered. So I want to thank you personally.
Well, it's very
for that.
good. We named that the United Way of Columbia and Greene County's Jim Riley Student Scholarship Fund, and we named that in honor and not memory of Jim Riley.
Yeah, that's important. Listen, one thing I've liked since you've been in office, and it's been how long now?
About 2.5 years since I've been the director.
What I like is that you really have a sense of a new direction for United Way. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on that.
Well, traditionally, this agency has been run in the model of a large urban agency, and they started in 1932 as the community chest and took the United Way of Columbia and Greene County's name in the 90s. The large urban model really doesn't work very well in a 2-county area with 110,000 people. So right now, 94% of the money that's raised comes from the Employee Workplace Campaign in contributions from people in increments of $1 to $5 per paycheck.
Right.
So in my first year, I decided to add fundraising events and continue them into my second year. And it's really been a lot of fun and raising community awareness.
Great. Tell us about a few of those, because I really like what you've done there.
Well, we started off in May of 2010 by washing RVs and boats at the Boat and RV Car Wash.
Up in
And,
Cooksaki,
in Cooksaki.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we didn't do very well at all, but it was the first time that everybody on the board of directors showed up at one time in the same place. So it was a very congealing moment. And we had a lot of public help. Fingar Insurance was there, and so it was a lot of fun. Traditionally, UPS Distribution always holds a golf tournament for us in June.
They do a great job. They really do.
Augie heads that up over there. And in July of 2010, we started an event called the Catfish Derby. And in 2010, we had 22 people sign up for $15 apiece, and the longest catfish won $200. We repeated that in 2011, this year, and last year, and we went from 22 people to 156 people
Yeah.
in 1 year. And next year, we're going to give away a boat, motor, and trailer for the catfish that beats the state record.
That's wonderful. What I really like is a sense of getting the board involved and the public involved. I think that's every bit as important as the funds you raise. Wouldn't you say that's true?
It is, and I held an event on September 17th, 2011 that took me 10 months to organize it. It was called Hands Connecting Lives, and the purpose of it was to have an event with 1,000 people to make the bridge appear as a non-barrier between the two counties.
Right, connecting the two
Connecting
counties
to-
instead of keeping that
That's
separate
right,
with
and
the
we
bridge.
had 1,000 people hold hands across the Rip Van Winkle Bridge for the first time in the history of the bridge. And it actually was designed to be a fundraising event for the United Way, but it was only 17 days after Irene, so we
Right.
switched it right over to a hurricane relief effort.
Yeah, which you have to do. But I will say that that's my greatest joy in seeing what you've done since you've been in office, is the fact that the public is becoming more and more aware of just how essential the United Way is to both counties.
It really is, because we have a lot of non-for-profits in the two-county area. I know in the last 3 years, we've funded 41 local programs that help local children, the local senior community, and families facing the challenges of domestic violence and autism and substance abuse. And of all the not-for-profits, they all face and cover a segment of the needs of the community. But the United Way is the single thread that weaves all those not-for-profits into one tapestry.
I think that's terribly important. The other thing I like about it is, in these times when everybody's a little tight with money and struggling with funds, one, we're helping people. The other is that you're showing people if they work with United Way, you can make that go out a little bit farther.
Oh, that's very true. $1 or $2 or $5, we can make go a long way.
And that's important.
It is.
Tell me about 211.
In the year 2000, the FCC assigned a telephone number to the United Way of America, which is now United Way Worldwide. And the phone number was 211. And the purpose of this telephone number is that people can call this number and get information on health and human services that are available in our county. And it's services that are extended by county agencies as well as local not-for-profits. Today, the 211 call center serves the two counties with information on over 1,500 different agencies in our two-county area.
What I like about 211, and Jim Beal, a
Yes.
dear friend of ours that we lost some time back, was the one that really got behind this effort. You don't have to know what you're looking for. You just have to have a need. If you call 211, they will sort it out for you and put you in contact with the right organization.
That is exactly right. So in Columbia and Greene County, a person can pick up the phone, dial 211, and talk to a human being and tell their story. The call center workers are trained both in crisis counseling and in researching the answers for the person. In fact, the call center handles 200 different languages. And in the first 8 days after Irene, they handled 6,500 calls. But the 211 website gave information to 65,000
And that's
inquiries.
local.
Yes,
That's very impressive. So Jim Beal's vision was
has come to
really
fruition.
on target and has come to fruition. That's very, very impressive. What's coming up?
Well, I would like to also mention that immediately after Irene, it was a United Way of New York State initiative for the local United Ways to begin an unmet needs committee to identify unmet needs from the hurricane damage and to match them with a local solution. The Unmet Needs Committee of Columbia and Greene counties met over at Community Action for the first several months, and we had resources around the table from Catholic Charities, United Way, Red Cross, FEMA, the USDA, and over the next several months, it evolved into a long-term recovery group. Today, we have evolved again into an organization that is an entity unto itself. It's called HELP, H-E-L-P, and it stands for Helping Everyone Live Post-Disaster. The United Way still stewards the fund, but our fiscal agent is Catholic Charities, and the cases are presented to HELP by the New York State Disaster Case Management Program. So as the smaller group of people from HELP who allocate the funds, they listen to the cases, and they'll give me a total that's needed. I'll write the check to Catholic Charities. Catholic Charities writes the checks to the contractors and the vendors who are helping families move back into their houses.
And again, in both counties.
In both counties.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing, and excuse me for interrupting you, Brad, but the thing that I think we need to remind people is it is United Way of Columbia and Greene counties. So
that's correct.
We're serving all of our neighbors in both counties.
From Ashland to Ancrum to Austerlitz.
All across the two counties.
All across the counties, that's
Very
right.
good. As you look at the next year or so, what do you see coming down the pipeline that you want people to be aware of?
I would like them to know that the United Way of Columbia and Greene counties is holding our own even in this downturn economy. And we have had increased interest both in volunteerism, both children and adults. We're helping kids get their community action, community service hours. And we're also looking to engage more corporations here locally with employee campaigns.
Yeah, I think employee campaigns, what I like about it is it's individuals who live in our community, work in our community, that then give back to the community. And it's a nice, easy way to do it through the employee campaign.
And many of the companies match what the employees raise. And some of our biggest corporate supporters in the area are Save-A-Lot in Coxsackie,
Right.
UPS, Bill Williams at Clear Channel Radio,
Right.
The Hudson Catskill newspapers, and our friends right here at Mid-Hudson Cable.
That's great. It's very important for people to understand that, and we talk about James Reynolds, who's the president of Mid-Hudson Cablevision, that they don't just do business in the community. This is their community. That's the way they view it, isn't it?
It is, and Mr. Reynolds has said that companies are recognized not only by what they do, but how they serve their community.
I think that's terribly important. Now, we've gone through a few things here. Let me look and see. Oh, all right. Let's talk about that. That's one thing that I think we want to go back to some traditional issues
Okay.
and questions here. When you get funds in, how are they allocated? Do you make the decisions?
I don't make those decisions. In fact, I have no word in those decisions. So we raise money the entire year. During the spring, and we announce it publicly, we accept applications from 501c3 organizations that meet our impact areas. And through a application and grant process, I put together a group of people called the Allocations Board. That group of people reviews each individual application. And the application is not only a description of the program, but also a budget for the program, how the success of the program will be measured, and actually an audit process to make sure that the money is being applied exactly as it was granted. The allocations group is made up of people that I pluck right out of society. Only a few board members from United Way are actually on that group. So it's bankers, it's gas station workers, it's regular people that I meet during the year that I can tell are interested in helping the community.
Yeah. I think it's important for people to know that when they make their investment in United Way,
Yeah,
it's going to be used wisely.
exactly.
Terribly important. Any last thoughts that you want to share before we wrap things up here?
Yes, I would like to publicly thank our volunteer board of directors. They do a tremendous good job, and it's an all-volunteer board. And I would also like to say that if anybody's interested in volunteering anywhere in the community, they can call the United Way. If they want to contribute, they can go to our website or call our office. And if they want to follow the work and the fun that we have, like us on Facebook.
Yeah, that's very, very important. We're using all of the technology that's out there today, social media as well. But let's have the number for local United Way of Columbia Greene County.
Well, it's at our new home in Catskill at 943-3285.
Wonderful.
And
Brad,
our office is open to the public. We're right across from Tory G's, next to Keith Valentine Insurance.
okay, that's up there on 9W by the bridge approach.
Right where the old penny
Okay.
saver used to be.
Well, it's good that we can be so familiar with where things are. But it's something that I believe in very strongly, as you know. And the success of United Way, Columbia Greene County, is something you can be very proud of as well. It's going very, very well, thanks to you. We'd like to thank you for joining us today on All the Right Connections. We'd like to thank our guest, Brad Poster, Executive Director of United Way.
Thank you very much.
Columbia Greene Counties. Also, James Reynolds, President of Mid-Hudson Cablevision, Dave Fingar, our old friend, and also Lance Wheeler. It's always good to see Lance Wheeler. And we also look forward to seeing you again real soon on All the Right Connections.